Hello and well met. This is Founder Leyrune again with Fantasy Grounds Academy. I am continuing to work with the Underdark theme. This is basically a mood slash theme that I'm working through. I do this occasionally just to kind of keep practice with Fantasy Grounds and also to prep for campaigns that I may run in the future. So I just kind of keep things going. I set up and allocate resources, and while I'm doing so, I'm going to show you how to do a few things in Fantasy Grounds. I hope it's helpful to you. If not, I'll switch the subject or topic and do something different. So right now, I'm kind of working with a player character. I made a couple characters earlier in video 1. I'm going to further create some content in Fantasy Grounds, and I'm also going to use some third-party assets. I'm using some tokens by Bernardo Hasselman. I'm using tokens from Dark Wolf. I'm using maps from Angela Maps, and I'm probably going to use some from Chris McDermott as well. So a lot of this information is in the stream data. So when you look at the stream afterwards, you'll find a lot of these links in there, and also on some of our other videos. So I'm going to take a look at Fantasy Grounds and see what I can do today. So I'm going to open up the image that I was working with. So I have it shortcutted down here on the bottom. And this is basically the area that I have set up for an encounter. Right now is just testing out the line of sight and also, getting ready to build a party. Right now we have a Drider and a Dwergar fighter. I was going to make a goblin, so I made sure that I had Bullow's Guide to Monsters loaded so I can easily make a goblin. I also have some other third-party content, so let's see what we can do. So I'm going to take the character sheets and go to the character wizard. Last time I built one manually, that was the Drider. I wasn't sure if it was actually going to work or not, but I'm going to create a goblin now. So I'm going to click Character Wizard, and it's wait for it to populate. Okay, so now it's going to pull from this list, so I'm going to go to Goblin. Let's see if we have one. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Goblin, where are you? There it is. So here's the Goblin Race. So it looks like they get... Yeah, I'm going to pick this Goblin Race. It looks like they get some ability score increases. So if you wanted to look at that, you can click on the little link over to the right, and it will open up the traits. So let's see what the ability score increases are. Yeah, you get a dex of +2 and a con of +1, which is pretty cool. So I don't think I need to change anything there. I might switch around some of these stats, but other than that, I'm going to leave it as is. So they get some Fury of the Small, and they get Nimble Escape, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to go to the stats, which is the second step. Now, if I wanted to roll, I could, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. And I might switch some things around. So I think I'm going to switch Wisdom for Intelligence. So 10 Intelligence, 12 Wisdom, 8 Charisma. So maybe that's something we could work with. You remember the Drider had a 6 Charisma. That was crazy. Okay, so that's his name is going to be Goblin for now. I don't really have a name just in case. And then I'm going to pick the class. So I'm going to do a Rogue class. So let's do that. So Rogue. Okay. And these are the proficiencies they get. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that. To click on class, and I need to select an expertise for the rogue. So I'm gonna go with first Thieves Tools, and I think I need to pick acrobatics, stealth, sleight of hand, and some kind of, let's see, insight, perception, performance, persuasion, any of that. So that is my... Now I need to pick an expertise. So I got Thieves Tools as one, and I'm going to pick the expertise of, let's say he's a really good pickpocket, so that'll be my expertise. Oh wait, that is a skill. Okay. So expertise in that, and what else should I pick here? It wants me to pick an expertise, but I need to see where that is. So I'll come back to that. So this is part of the class, so it's going to give me issues until I actually pick it. So we'll see what happens. So I'm going to do background. I think this was going to be the escape slave, basically. So slave from the Underdark is basically what I'm... Does that say? Logical... The icon tab races does not exist, so it's some kind of character wizard thing, background. No big deal. It's not going to break anything. So I got that. You get all these different things here, so I'm going to check my class here and see what we got. So I guess the expertise is going to be... There we go. And how do I select expertise? So thieves tools. I guess I have to later. I don't know why it's not letting, but it's not letting me pick expertise, which is kind of crazy. Normally, let's see if I can pick a different stat, see if that will do it. Yeah, that's not gonna do it. So I think what I have to do is drag something in there. That might be. So stealth. Nope, it's not gonna let me do that. Oops. That. Rogue was what I'm after. Acrobatics, insight. Nope, not insight. It was stealth and perception and sleight of hand. Okay. So proficiency choice went away, so it must have already been dealt with, which is fine. So background is I got the slave from the Underdark. Inventory. So I want some starting equipment. Again. So this is... Okay, so the starting equipment, I'm going to have a short sword. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to go with a rapier instead of the short sword. And then class choice 2, short bow. And I'm going to give him the burglar's pack. And then he gets 2 daggers and thieves tools automatically. So that's cool. And if you want to reset the equipment, you can. And I don't have any spells or feats, but if you did, click on that. I'm just going to have to compile this log here and see what's going on. Huh. Okay. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so that is basically the goblin, and then I'm just going to go back and hit save. And that should save the character, and it will put it in the campaign selection area, and it will turn into a regular character sheet. So I'm just going to wait for it to do its thing. Okay. While that's doing that, I'm going to move this over. Like we have everything. Yep. Things dealt with. Oh, it wants the expertise still. So here we go. Now it refreshed. So I'm going to have expertise in thieves tools and expertise in, I want to say, stealth or acrobatics. And sleight of hand. That's what I wanted. Now I can hit save. That's what it was waiting for, just to clear up that expertise area. Alright, so now that I have that, I'm just going to double click on the portrait. Look for FG Fantasy is basically what I want to choose from. I'm waiting for that to load. I'll check the chat out and see what's going on there. Close Discord. Alleviate some of the RAM usage. Don't have too many people watching, so that's fine. Sure does look good on screen with that dark theme. This is Sir Mott's Magnificent Darkness theme, or it was called the Hearth theme before. So that's cool. And now here we are with the portrait. So I'm going to drag this out and take a look at what they offer here. I'm pretty sure the goblins are down at the bottom. Somewhere in here. Maybe not. So let's back up. There's the trolls. Here we go. I love it. So this little guy here is going to be our goblin male. It's going to be our rogue for the party. So I'm going to at least level him up to level 2. So to do that, I'm going to come back to the class and level area, click on the magnifying glass, and that will bring up this class and level window, and then just click on level up. That brings you back to the character wizard. And then I'm going to drop this down and select level 2. And once you do that, you hit save, and it will add whatever you get at second level. And if I wanted to go to level 3, I could, so let's do that. So I'm going to, again, go back to the character wizard, level up. Normally you don't skip levels, but I wanted to show you what it does. You can select 3 instead of 2, but I wanted to show you incrementally. So there's a level 3. So once that happens, it wants me to pick which specialty. And I think I'm going to go with Thief or Scout. Inquisitive, Soul Knife, Phantom. Yeah, I think Thief is good. And that'll be good, and then I'll hit save. So that brings him up to 3rd level, and anything that was added is in the chat window. So now he's got a 3rd level skill set, and he's basically got all this stuff. So he has a tool set, persuasion tool proficiency. We got to get rid of that. So some of these things came over from another class. It might not have. And he gets 1 artisan tool, so we'll see what happens there. But he has expertise and sleight of hand, and he has, this is supposed to be thieves tools. So let me change that. So we already have persuasion, so we need these tools, and he's expert in it. So thieves tools, and change it to double, so that way doubles up on the bonus there. This S tool set, let's see what he has. So he probably has an artist kit, so we'll look at his abilities. So he has, let's see, these tools for sure. That's pretty much it. I don't see, let's see, hand crossbow, infernal talisman. What's that from? Huh. Crazy. I don't think this belongs to him. So, slave rapport, 2nd story work, steady aim, hand crossbows, short blades, simple weapons, thieves tools. I think I need to edit those out. So if the class isn't built correctly, it's not going to pull over the correct item. So I'm just going to delete this one and this other tool set. So here we go. We have thieves tools and then all the others. So that's good. All right, so actions tab. Let's see, we're going to give him 2 daggers. He's really not going to, and he's going to have 20 arrows, and then short blade and a dagger or 2. And in the inventory part of it, I'm going to update his materials here. So he's got a backpack. I'm going to erase the word empty, including the parentheses and the space after it. And then I want to find a pouch because I don't see one anymore. And I do not see a place to hold his arrows, so we'll deal with it. So he needs a quiver and pouch. So I'm going to go to items, type in quiver. So if you're the player, you have to have access to this stuff. Being that I'm the host, I can access my own content. But if your GM has content, they'll have to share the books with you if they want you to take from these. Or they might set up a store where you're grabbing things as you need them. So I have that, and I wanted the quiver for the arrows. Let's see. Spell it right? Yeah. Do it again. Oops, there it goes. Need to be patient. So sometimes when you're searching here, you have to kind of give it a moment to think. Okay, so here's the quiver. Just drag and drop that over. And I need a pouch. There's a pouch belt, or just a pouch. That's what I want. Just the pouch. Okay, and that's basically the items that he has. So he has a hooded lantern, some leather armor. He's got a couple weapons. I wanted to change his dagger to 2. He's got 2 quivers, I only need 1. I think he already had it, that's why. These tools are in the inventory, that's good. There's the 2 daggers, crowbar. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put the bearings in a pouch. And this little bell is going to go in the pouch. You have to make sure you spell this correctly, otherwise it doesn't nest properly in the inventory. See, what it'll do is they'll be satisfied and put in here. So this 10 foot of string, put that in the pouch, just little stuff. These tools can go in the pouch. The tinderbox, I'm going to put that in his backpack. Water skin, backpack. And as you do this, it'll organize your inventory. So the quiver is going to hold the arrows. So do I have the ammo? Does not look like it. So let me grab some arrows. So you need to have arrows to represent the range and also the damage value. Could be different depending on what kind of arrows you use. So arrows, there we go. And then I'm going to type quiver next to those so that it nests inside of there. And then the candles are going to go in the backpack. Crowbar, backpack. A little hammer is going to go in the backpack. And some oil flasks. And then the little python things, I think I'll put those in the backpack. They're just going to be tied together with a string. Let's see, hooded lantern, that can hang off his backpack. So hooded lantern. When you're doing this, you don't have to hit enter or it's going to create new lines. So you just click away. If you do this and then you hit enter to confirm, it will actually create a new line. So that's a common thing that people do. So you don't want the extra lines or the blank lines, and just don't click, don't hit enter. So backpack is the other thing. And rope is going in there. There's a short sword. Oh, there's 2 short swords, so I only need 1. And then I have the short bow and then the dagger. So those are the weapons. Dagger, leather armor, quiver, rapier, short bow, short blade. So I wanted to get rid of the short sword. So I go ahead and right click, hit delete item, and then confirm it. So there we go. So now let's take a look at his, yeah, so here's a rapier, short bow, 2 daggers, and you notice there's 2 entries because it requires that you either throw it or stab with it. So the rapier is kind of a stabby stab, and the short bow is 2-handed, so I need to change that to 2 hands. So he has to have both hands free to use that. So that's that. So that's majority of his equipment. I don't think I need much more than that should do it. So this is a goblin character building, and it's kind of got an Underdark theme. I'm kind of making an uncanny group here. So let's grab a token. So in the assets area where everything is stored, the game master has to provide the token. There's a couple reasons for this, but basically it's cut down on memory consumption and what has to be passed back and forth online on the network. So the GM has to set the token. So what I usually do is I'll take a screenshot and let people pick, and they can decide which ones they want. So let's go to the data folder in tokens. And once I click that, it's going to bring me into this window here where I have all my tokens stored. And I have this on the top level, so it's not at the campaign level, it's actually at the master top level. Goblin Kin, you can just pick one of these little guys to be the rogue. I think this little dude here is the one I normally use, kind of like it's got shackles on him and stuff, so he kind of looks like a escaped slave. So I just drag and drop that into the token area, and that's his token. So that'll replace the portrait instead of having the token. And then when he's on the map, it'll be a top-down version of him. So it'll be in this little motley crew here. So these are all our little goblin kind of things. So close the assets for now. Got the weapons going. Let's see, inventory-wise, I have it's good there. Get to give him a couple golds. He's got 2 gold pieces and maybe 11 copper. And I'm gonna give him like 1 silver. He's got a little bit of treasure on him. I would give him trinkets, so that's something that he would definitely want to have. He's a male, and I'm going to make him chaotic neutral. He's not really evil, he's just nuts. He's fairly fearless too. I mean, he gets really lucky a lot, but so he's just kind of a crazy thing. But I guess he has a rapport with other people that are in captivity, and has sneak attack. He has a steady aim option, so as a bonus action, you can give yourself advantage on your next roll on the current turn. You can use this bonus action only if you haven't moved. So I kind of like that. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. So it shows this rogue kneeling down in these mushrooms. How thematic. It's just like this map. And then you have second story work, roguish archetype. See this infernal talisman. Yeah, this doesn't belong here. It's something to do with the way this class was built. So I'm just gonna right click on that and delete. It doesn't belong in the sheet. Okay, so fast hands. Yep. So you can sleight of hand, cutting action. Alright, cool. Fury of the Small. It gives you an attack or a spell. The creature is larger than yours. You can cause the attack to deal extra damage to the creature. And then you have your Thieves' Cant, which is like your sign language, body language stuff. And then here's all of his equipment. Hand crossbows. He's proficient with light armor, long swords, rapiers, short swords, simple weapons, and thieves' tools. So I don't know. It's short. Where's the bow come in here? Huh. Must be a simple weapon because there's a bow. It's supposed to be a hand crossbow. How weird. Okay, so I'll change that out later. So, or just leave it. Short bow is a simple weapon, so it's fine. He's got common and goblin. That's what he speaks. Probably change that to undercommon because I don't know if he's been on the surface for a while. So, yeah, I'll just leave it. There's a little bit of a speech impairment there with communication. It's fine. There's all that. Okay. So there's got most of his stuff, and he's got his weight set up here. I think we're ready to go with this guy. So I'm going to put him on the combat tracker. That's the first thing you do. So on the combat tracker, I already have the Dwergar and the Drider. So I'm going to move the Goblin onto the combat tracker. And then the next step is to move him over to the map. So I'm just going to take the Goblin's token, drag and drop it onto the map. And there's his little icon there. So that's pretty cool. So that's basically the premise of these. There's 3. We have a spellcaster, a war wizard. We have a champion like fighter or something like that, or battle master. And then we have this goblin here that is a rogue. So we need one more, at least one more. So if you guys have any suggestions, that would be cool. So we just round the party out. We have, we have a rogue, a fighter, and a wizard. So we don't have any healing. We don't have a bard. We don't have a ranger or a paladin of any sort. We could probably use another fighter of some sort, like a barbarian or maybe another fighter type. Or maybe even a fighter cleric type, like a druid or something like that. I don't know. But I just noticed that the party is looking a little thin. So I'm going to have a female too. Maybe she's a a myconid, like one of those mushroom people. That would be cool. Let's look at that. See if we can build one of those. So that is basically the goblin. There's other things I can do to customize the character sheet. I'll do that another time, but I think I want to go on to the next character. So I'm going to go to characters and going to click on the character wizard again. This time, let's see, what's a dwerg? Where is that? I know I have this custom thing where I can basically use the... Where did that go? They are a race of myconids. I have to look these up, but they come from another book. It's not a traditional book, but it's pretty cool. So I want to see what these guys are. So dwergs are basically related to dwarves. The Draki are different race. It's not what I was looking for. So where is this? Hooling, bugbear, and maybe not. You know what? I might do like a earth or fire. Maybe something elemental. An earth elemental, like a Ganassi or something like that. That might be cool. Half-elf, Azamar, Gith, a Hooling. I know that's not. What's the... Okay, small caper about the underworld. Let's see, what's this? Okay, so that's like an undead type creature. Don't want that. What's this? The Kalatar is a... What is this? They are... Oh, okay, they're a different kind of humanoid race. Okay, not looking for that. What are those works? Guess they're dwarves, mystical dwarves. Yeah, they're kind of some special. I want to use that either. Oh, Funglet. There we go. They're mushroom treants of the underworld. That's what I want. Cool. So I'm going to pick the Funglet. And then they have other sub-races. So there's 3 different types. Cool. So I'm going to take the Funglet and use that. Okay, there's the Funglet. Now, there's 3 different sub-races, and they have different abilities. So I think there was one that I really liked. This one's bulky, fleet of foot. Okay. What else do they have? This Maculo has venom, so this one has poison. The other one was quick. Let's look at this one. This one is like a shepherd of the fungal forest. So this would be like a druid build if we did. That's kind of cool. So maybe I will do that. So I'll pick this subclass or subrace. That's kind of cool. So not your typical adventuring party at all. So we have a Funglet-like creature. Okay, let's look at stats. So this is not too bad. I think this time I'm going to roll. See what I get. So if you click on the drop down, let me type in the Funglet. This is going to be a druid. We don't really have any healing or anything like that, any druidic or clerical magic, so that might be good. So the Funglet is going to be a druid build. We need wisdom. We can switch these around if we want. So technically I can take this 15 and scoot it all the way over to the right and move it to the wisdom area. Charisma, I probably would move that as well. So move that over to, maybe he's fragile. So I would move that over to con. And depending on what the race is, they get certain abilities that would help them. So they get a 2+2 con right there. So that would help them. So maybe not. Maybe he's not very fast. Or strength. Yeah, they don't need strength. There we go. So that's kind of cool. So It's very weak in strength, but it has a lot of other things. So they got a +2 on wisdom and +2 on con. How cool is that? And then I want to move this over to wisdom so that this character has it. And I'm going to move this 15 in that spot. And let's put the 12 over there, and there we go. So this is what we're going to have. Well, 15 wisdom, 10 charisma, 12 intelligence, or 6. Here's the final. So we have 8, 14, 15, 12, 17, and 10. So that's not bad for standard array. So let's go ahead and pick class. So now this is kind of a shepherding-like race, so we'll see what that offers. But I'm going to go ahead and pick Druid as my main class. And then I want to pick Nature and maybe Animal Handling or Insight Perception. I think Perception's good. That always works. So that's basically the Druid. And then the background, I think I'm going to make it a mentored by the Myconids. What does that say? Yeah, it looks like it was made for somebody that's not from the Underdark, so I don't know. Brewed fiber plants, spicy fire. I don't know. Maybe this guy was mentored by the Myconids. He's not. I don't know. It just seems a little redundant, so I think I'm going to change that. Maybe Sage. There we go. Can't go wrong with the Sage. And then you get to select some languages, so we'll get Primordial in there. Let's talk to the elements. And then Undercommon. So, and I don't think these guys can really speak. They use spores or they use sign language or something like that. I don't think they talk like a normal creature, so we'll see what happens. But that is that. Now that I have that, I got all this main choices, so I'm going to go to the inventory and see what happens there. Okay. So in the inventory, I get one class choice. So I'm just going to make it a club. I don't see him using anything. It could be a great club, because that's something that, you know, he's not really going to have a lot of weapons. So I think the great club is the choice. Just going to thump people with it. And his druidic thing is a sprig of mistletoe or something like that. Or maybe a totem, wooden staff, a yew wand. Mistletoe doesn't grow in the Underdark, but it'll be something like some kind of. And you get leather armor and explorer's pack with it. So we'll take a look at that shortly. So that's basically the focus, the equipment, the basic starting stuff. And then if you go to spells, we can start picking what he gets for his spells. So Druid Craft for sure. So we'll drag and drop that. And he gets one more. I think Old Earth, Mending, Primal Savagery, Shape Change, Shillelagh. I think Shillelagh is good. Thorn Whip, Thunderclap, Shape Water, Resistance. No. Primal Savagery, Poison Spray, Mold the Earth, Magic Stone. So Magic Stone, basically you can hurl it and disrupt attacker spells. It might be good. And then there's Guidance, Control Flames, Create Bonfire. It's going to stay away from fire. Frostbite, no. I think he's going to have something more utility. So Mending sounds like something that, yeah, it takes 2 lodestones to do it. So I think that's cool. So more for flavor. So he just has a couple cantrips that are more for role-playing as opposed to actual fighting and such. And he's only first level right now, so and then go ahead and level him up. I think that's the key here. Because I'm already picking the spells for first level, so let's finish that and then I'll level them up. So let's see, level 1. Let's see, those are cantrips. Level 1. Let's see. He can cure wounds for sure. And Druidic Practice, what's that? It's a ceremony that calls upon the land. When you cast a spell, you can choose. So you can touch a willing creature, send a spiritual pilgrimage. There's the Gisa. I like that. Purify. I like that. So I'm going to use the Druidic Practice. That's pretty cool. And then I get a couple more. So Earth Tremor. That makes sense for his build. And probably Long Strider, Food and Drink, Shadow Snare, Speak with Animals. I think Long Strider might be a good one. Allows them to move a lot faster. Ice Knife, Healing Word, Good Berry. Maybe the good berries are mushrooms instead of berries, I don't know. Raid or Destroy Water. That's interesting. I think Detect Poison, Yep, Entangle, here we go. That's very useful. Alright, so we picked all the spells for first level and the cantrips. So we're going to level them up to level 3. So this time I'm going to just skip right to level 3. So once we have all our choices for first level, and we don't need to make any other changes, we're going to hit save. Once we do that, all this stuff is saved to the character. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on Portrait for right now so we can have an image. And I'm pretty sure there's a folder that has, let's see. Yeah, we're going to have a custom folder that's going to have different items for him to have. So let's look at that. So data folder. Let's go with, this is like RC, Underworld Classes and Races. Here we go. So here's the Funglet right here. So that's going to be his appearance for his portrait. And then I have a fungus guy that I'm going to use. So I'm going to go to my assets, look at tokens, over here to data, and I want to find my Underdark folder because I know I have one of these guys in there. Myconid, there he is. Myconid looking dude. There we go. How cool is that? So I got a really cool mushroom thing, and it kind of blends in with this territory, which is kind of cool. So now I'm going to level them up. So I go to the class and level, and click level up. And I'm going to do the drag, this like drop down menu. I'm going to pick level 3. Now I have to pick which of these makes sense. So Circle of Spores is what I'm going to choose. That makes sense. I think that's good. I'm not going to use any of Tasha's things, but you can get additional druid spells or a wild companion. I don't think we'll do that. So that's just extra stuff that I have to deal with. Some Circle of Spores, what does that do? I can't, it's been a while, so. Okay, well, we'll look at that in a little bit. So that's the circle, which is pretty cool. And that satisfies pretty much everything that's needed. So, oh, there's Circle of the Mushroom too. What's that? Kind of cool. Let's do that. Circle of the Mushroom. Okay, so that is that. And everything else is good, so we'll hit save. Once we do that, it will put that over here. Let's take a look at the sheet, make sure it looks okay. So, kind of weak, but has a lot of other good utility abilities here. That rhyme or what? Utility abilities. Okay, the combat tracker. I'm going to bring this Myconid druid, the Funglet druid, and I'm going to put him on the map. Let's see what he looks like. So if you accidentally close your character sheet, you can actually bring back up by double clicking on this link over here on the right, or if you have the token on the map, I believe you can bring it up that way. So here's the Funglet guy. So if you double click on the token when it's on the map, it'll bring up your sheet. That's a little tip. So that's cool. So I like that. It's pretty neat. So there's the Funglet guy, and there's his great club. which is cool because that's all of the weapon he has. Don't really have anything else except for spores and that kind of thing. I think majority of this stuff is going to go away. So he doesn't need clothing, doesn't need a bedroll, leather armor, probably just padded, so we'll just leave that. Mess kit, doesn't need that. Rations, I don't know what they eat, so he definitely doesn't need that. Rope, I don't see him carrying rope. Tinderbox, definitely not. Torches, definitely not. Stays away from probably a little bit of water in case he needs moisture. Ink pen, I don't think he needs that. And the ink itself. So that's all he's going to have is his spell focus, padded or leather armor, and then he has a great club, and then a backpack that's empty, so I'm just going to delete that. So he has a pouch, water skin, leather armor, and a great club. That's all he carries on him. So he's basically not carrying a whole lot of stuff, so that makes sense. So that's cool. And there's our Dwergar fighter in his regalia. And there's our Drider. So there we go. So that's the Funglet. I don't think he has any cash on him. The Funglet might be gender neutral, or they might be like both sexes, like asexual, so I don't know what to put there. Probably just male/female. Because I think they procreate by releasing spores, and depending on when they release and what they release will determine the other. So I'm not going to worry about that too much, but alignment, I'm just going to make him true neutral, because he really doesn't have any motives other than to protect, work with nature. So that's pretty much that. So Circle of the Mushroom, Truth of the Mushrooms. So when you fail intelligence, you can take your reaction to escape into the psychotropic visions that have become second nature to you. Instead of being subject to the usual effects that prompted the saving throw, you roll a d10 on the hallucinogenic value, and the visions are table, which allows you to roll whatever. So you become... interesting. So let's roll one of these, see what it does. So you become... I guess that's broken. So you must succeed on it. Yeah, something's not right with the way they worded this, so I'll have to look at this table, but it looks broken. Yeah, this is definitely a broken table, but it's kind of cool you have these visions. Okay, so that's definitely something that needs to be fixed. But anyways, this is kind of cool. So that's Truth of the Mushrooms. You have a wild shape, explosive cap, so you can use your wild shape and you turn into as a bonus action, you can grow specially magically imbued explosive mushroom caps on yourself. That's kind of cool. And then you have your researcher thing. Wild shape is basically probably replaced by the explosive caps. I can't see you changing into an animal necessarily. Mushroom Whisperer, they can communicate with fungi, molds, and plants. Sunlight sensitivity, fire vulnerability, so they definitely don't like being around fire. So when this guy uses his fire spells, this guy stays the heck out of the way. So Herbalism Kit, that would be something I can give him. That makes sense. Yep. So I'll give him a Herbalism Kit. I think that's the only thing that he really needs for items. So I'll go to items, type in Herbalism. I'll just type in kit. That should do it. Okay, so Herbalism Kit. So that's going to go in his inventory. Now it'll go in the pouch. So anything that he's, except for his weapons, are going to go in the pouch. So I'm going to type pouch next to each one of the items that he's going to store, which ain't much. That's all he has is just the Herbalism Kit and a spring of mistletoe, which is his spellcasting focus. And it's probably a sprig of some kind of vine or something. It's probably not mistletoe. He's got his great club, his protective armor, whatever that is. and then water skin for moisture. And that's pretty much, you know, he doesn't have a lot of stuff. No money, nothing like that. So that's that. And I'm going to put the Herbalism Kit on his skill list here, so just in case. So I'm going to add an item. It's going to call it Herbalism Kit. You get 10 usages, so, and he's proficient, so that if he needs to use it, and it requires any checks, you can use it. So it's based on wisdom. So get to wisdom. There we go. So that's cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's got 5 proficiencies. Let me double check. See if there's anything else. This is medium armor, maces, light armor, Herbalism Kit. Nope, I think that's pretty good. I think he has majority of what he needs, other than the rest of his spells. So I'm gonna have to go to that manually and pick the rest of his spells. So he gets a couple second levels. So let's check that out. I'm gonna go to spells, and in the group here, I'll just leave that. Go to level 2, and then the source is going to be Druid. So that. Okay, so amorphous form. What's that? Touch a creature with 1 hit point. The ability turns into a ooze. Oh, really cool. I like that. I'm going to take that. So I don't normally get to see that, so that's cool. Drag and drop that over there. And let's see, bark skin might be something that makes sense for this build. So I'll bring that over, and I'm probably going to get rid of the leather armor because that doesn't make sense. So get rid of the armor, and he'll use bark skin if he needs the extra protection. Flaming sphere, gust of wind, healing spirit. I think that might be nice. Yeah, I think that's kind of a cool thing. Something like that. Or pass without trace, protection from poison, skywrite, spike growth. Yeah, I think this healing spirit more sense. See this guy being more, or whatever it is, guy, girl, being more attuned with nature and less about martial things. I'm going to give him 1 more. Let's see, he has Cure Wounds, Druid Practices, Earth Tremor, and Tangle. And I'm going to give him probably maybe Snare. Fairy Fire, there we go. So that's very utility and useful. Okay, so that's basically all the spells he has. You can't prepare too many, so. Okay, so that's that. You might get some bonus spells from his mushroom thing, so let's take a look at that. So, the Druid Circle. Basically, like, circle the land, and so he's already got that. Researcher, so he has that. Additional Druid spells, let's take a look at that. So, Continual Flame, and do Summon Beast. Yeah, I don't see him using any of those. Protection from Good and Evil, maybe. But when he gets higher level, some of these will make sense. Alright, so that is that. So that's cool. So we have this Funglet guy, we have our little goblin, and we have a Drider and a Dwergar. So it's not a very common group. It might make another character depending on what the encounter would be like. So he's got Common, Primordial, Sylvan, and Undercommon. So he's got a lot of languages. Being a sage, really cool. So the Researcher gives him recall a piece of lore, which is really cool. So you can unearth the deepest secrets of the multiverse. Really cool. So he's in tune with the Earth. So he's really... Wild Companion is an option. I'm going to do that. Wild Shape is just going to give him the number of times. So if he's level 2 or 3, he gets quarter, no flying. For example, Wolf, I don't think he's going to have that, but he's going to have this Wild Shape explosive caps. And it's a bonus action anyway, so I think that's cool. That makes sense. Alright, so his wild shape is basically just transforming into another mushroom. If you look closely, he's got all these little things growing on him, so it's kind of cool. That might be his ability in play there. So there's our group. I'm actually going to switch this token out for a different one. I'm not too keen on that, so I'll right-click on it and delete the token. And then I'm going to delete the character off the combat tracker for now. And I'm going to go back to characters, and I'm going to... That's a copy of this Dwergar, so I don't need that. So right-click on it and delete that, because it's just an extra copy. So I'm going to double-click on the character, and I'm going to switch out the token for a Dwergar. So I'm going to go to Library, actually Assets. And I'm going to take that and go to Tokens, Data, Folder, where they're all stored. And I want to go to Dwarves Galore, because that has a bunch of different dwarves in here. So I want to use something that's a little bit more up his alley. So he has a big hammer, so if I find a dwarf with a hammer, I might like this one. There's a rune caster, so that's closer to what he chose anyways, so let's take a look at this. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But he looks more like a cleric, so I may not use that one, but that's not bad. I can use any one of these other ones. Let's see. Or like a warrior. Here we go. Yeah, that'll work. Let's use that. So drag and drop that here. That'll be his token. And then I'm going to re-add the character back to the combat tracker. And then I'm going to re-add it back to the map. So that you have to do this kind of in a sequence. If you don't do one and the other, it can break the link between the character and the combat tracker and the map. So systematically, you have to change everything. You can't just do one thing and then not the other. So you have to make sure that they're linked again, because it can cause problems with when you're trying to use the characters in combat, and also for lighting reasons. So there's the Drider, there's his dark vision. Dwergar has dark vision, Funglet has dark vision, and so does the Goblin. So they don't have any problems really in light or in the dark. So all right, so that's that. So it's cool. All right, so that's the party there. I think I'm going to make one more character. And this is a Drider, a Goblin, a Dwergar, and a Funglet. What are we missing here? So I have a Druid, a Fighter, a Rogue, and a Spellcaster like a, what do you call it, a Wizard, War Wizard. And that's the guy over there on the right, the Drider. So I want one more kind of strange or maybe different, maybe a human. I don't know. But anyways, I think I'll do that next time because it's getting kind of repetitive, a lot of things. So would a player changing their token in real time on their PC automatically get the combat tracker? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it breaks it somehow. I've had it happen. I don't know what causes it, but would a player changing their token? Yeah, see, I don't know if it would necessarily break it, but I definitely don't change it in real time. I usually do the steps that I showed because even though it's extra work, you just remember your initiative order and also your spell duration. So if it's that big of a deal, you can always reset those. But I'm more cautious, I guess. I'm more paranoid because it might do that too. So I don't know. But I definitely wouldn't want to find out in the middle of the game. So I'm usually pretty cautious about that. I'll do all that for them. I'll just swap it out, and I wouldn't let them change it without me knowing anyways. Maybe I'm a control freak, but I definitely don't want that to be a problem. So I think that little things like that do occur throughout the game, and that's why they go, I can't move my token, or I can't see anything. I think it's because they made some changes along the way, or some kind of extension broke it, so that's why I would just do it that way. I know for sure that it's working right. And then also, if you have a duplicate of the character, like a copy like I did, and you grab that and bring that over on accident, that could screw things up, because it's almost the same thing. The only difference is the title of the character that says copy on it. So I don't know, but I'm just cautious. I don't take the risk, especially in the middle of the game. I'll just take the extra minute and just do it, and not stress about it. But in general, I wanted to point out that I think when people are adding things to the combat tracker, mainly the game master, they need to remember that if they delete the token on the map, it needs to be redrug. If they delete the character off the combat tracker and leave the token, I think that's a problem too. So let me see if that works. So if I take the Druider and I delete it, if I right click on it and delete the item, it still has this token here with lighting on it. So if I drag this back over, that could potentially break this. So if I want, the class isn't even on, or the character's not even on the combat tracker anymore. So that could be problematic. So if I take the character itself and re-drag it, see if that causes any issues. So to bring the Druider back in, and let me see if I can target anything. So if I select this, yeah, I guess it did work, but I think there's times where that happens and it doesn't work right, or when the player takes possession of it, it breaks it somehow. So, but I have a feeling it's related to that. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but I think that those kinds of things need to be avoided, is kind of what I was getting at, because it can cause grief in the game. So anyways, that's basically the gist of that. I'm going to call it a day. I think I've been streaming long enough. Almost an hour, so that's good. I will come back another time, maybe later tonight or tomorrow, and create another character and call it good for the party. So take care, everyone. Hopefully that some of that stuff helps you, and I'm rambling now. So take care. I hope to see you in the community. If you guys need help with Fantasy Grounds, you know where to find us at Fantasy Grounds Academy. And also, yeah, talk to you later, Phil. We're going to basically start gearing up for Halloween, and got some things coming up, I believe. So we'll see what happens. But